When removing your crank pulley or installing new flywheel bolts, you need to hold the crank steady on your Toyota 4AG engine. And to do this, you can purchase a specialty tool from Toyota. I have no idea how much it costs, but it's probably very expensive. Or you can make your own tool. So this is the tool that I made, which works perfectly for this purpose. And essentially what it does is it bolts up to the crank pulley on the front of the engine, and you can hold it steady just by hand. So it's basically a lever arm, which you can hold the crank steady when you install your flywheel bolts or when you actually want to remove the crank pulley. So essentially all it is an aluminum bar. Doesn't really matter how long it is. This one is 22.5 inches long. I believe it's ½ inch thick. Just something nice and sturdy. I used aluminum so it's not so heavy because you're going to be, moving this around. And all you really need is something that can produce a lever arm. So the end here I have taped up. This is the end where you grab and you hold. And the key and the hardest part here is to drill the holes for the secure bolts. These are the bolts that screw into the crank pulley, and then the large center hole, and this is so you can actually access the crank pulley bolt while this unit is installed. And you need to drill these fairly accurately so that when you install these two bolts, when you tighten them down, everything is lined up. These bolts are M8 x 1.25 metric bolts. These ones I believe are 50 millimeters long, and so you just need two of these with some washers. And again, these screw right into the crank pulley. There's holes there already threaded, and this secures the crank pulley tool to the pulley itself. The center bolt has to be large enough so you can get a socket in there. I believe the crank pulley bolt is size 17. So you can see here the 17 millimeter socket can be put in this hole and sort of access that crank pulley bolt while the tool is installed. And so essentially, I'll put up here a little diagram of the sizes of the holes and the spacing here. And so essentially all you need is a metal bar, make a nice little handle for yourself, and drill these holes accurately. You need some M8 bolts, and you have yourself a crank pulley tool for, say, under $20 that you can use on any 4AG engine for when you, again, need to remove that crank pulley or install or remove your flywheel bolts. So good luck and have fun.